Well, go on, everybody. Lennox here from Simple 123 Trader. This is the weekly currency outlook for the US major pairs for the week of August 16th to 21st. Let me go through what I see setting up for the major pairs. I'll start with the US dollar futures index on the monthly time frame. We've been quite a downtrend recently, and we're about midway between 78 and 61.8% decline from the highs and the low. So this movement here, we're basically in between 61.8 and 79%. So 62% and 79% retrace. So expected move would be to the upside from this point on. Of course, we could go lower. We could touch that trend line here. We could also break through and go back down 100% retrace. So a couple of scenarios, but the expected move at this point would be to the upside. So let's take a closer look and see what is going to develop here. So that's the monthly. Let's drop down to the weekly time frame. And on the weekly time frame, what I'm seeing here is it looks like we're right now we're still heading to the downside, but we could be at, like I say, at that last leg of this move down. So at this point, we could be complete, and we're looking to turn around and go back up. Okay, so I'm going to come in a little closer still, and we'll take a look at this. So long term, possibility of breaching the low, but we'll come in a little closer again and take a look. So this is on the daily time frame, and again, we are in a little bit of a channel here, and we've been going up and down in it. Are we done, and could we be moving out of it? That's totally possible at this point. Or we could come back down and go back up again, come back down. Um, and put that could be it, and then we're breaking one more time to the low, or we could be heading back up again. So let's again drop in a little closer. That's the daily. We'll drop to the 4 hour. So as we come in closer, we'll get to see what's really going on in here. So again, looks like we're in a channel, and we've been up, we've been down, we've been up, we're heading back down. So currently in a weak state to the downside. So for the remainder, for the next few days at least, we're going to be heading back down, it looks like. So on the monthly time frame, of course, it was a more of a longer term outlook, of course. When we drop down to the 4 hour daily and lower, we're looking at a more shorter time frame. So perhaps by the end of this week, we could be back down to this level and bouncing again. Okay, so we're in a channel, and my expectation is it could be something like this, and then another probable move to the downside again. Okay, after it reaches this third touch, I would expect at that point that if we come back down, we're going to break through the lows and continue to the downside. So we'll see how this plays out. But right now, in the shorter term, right here, we're looking at a continued weakness in the US dollar futures index. And you can see that at this level, we are definitely looking pretty weak to the downside here. All right, so that's a takeaway for the US dollar futures index. Let's take a look at Aussie US dollar. So if we have weakness in the US dollar, then we'd be looking for strength against it with Aussie US dollar, Euro US dollar, GBP US dollar, New Zealand US dollar, gold, Bitcoin, US dollar, all those Ethereum, and so on to the upside. All right, so here's Aussie. Let's go to the daily, and very strong to the upside. Let me go to the weekly so I can see to the left. Okay, so now this gives us a good idea. We're at a resistance area, but looking to continue to push through, maybe back up to this area or even higher. But right now we're still very strong Aussie versus the US dollar on the daily. Okay, we're pushing to the upside on the 4 hour time frame. We're again still pushing to the upside, and we have our a nice setup there to continue this trend to the upside, and that's looking really good uh, going forward for this week. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing there. That's on the 4 hour time frame. Even on the hourly, you want to be looking to get in. You're looking for any kind of pullbacks. This is a kind of opportunity here that gives you entries to continue the trend to the upside. And all that depends on continued weakness in the US dollar. Okay, so that's Aussie. Let's take a look at the euro. So the euro is going to be doing exactly the opposite of what the US dollar is doing. So let's go to the weekly on that one so we can see to the left. And here we go. We just broke through. We're right at and breaking through resistance at this point. Very strong resistance area actually. So pushing very strongly to the upside right now. And on the daily time frame, still pushing to the upside on the 4 hour time frame. So again, we'd be looking for, with our members, we'd be looking for 1, 2, 3 bottoms to continue the trend to the upside. And that's what's set up right there. So dropping to the hourly, same thing holds. We're just looking for 1, 2, 3 bottoms to continue the trend to the upside. At this point here, that would have been the play, and we're on our way. Okay, so looking good for Euro USD to the upside. Take a look at GBP USD. We'll start off on the weekly on this one just so that we can see to the left. And this one, we're right up at resistance as well. Okay, we've got a little bit of room to get up to the next level of resistance. Looking very strong on the weekly. So dropping down to the daily time frame, we have again a big strong move to the upside. We're still at the resistance level, right through, but we're looking to push through. So what we're looking for as members of the simple 1, 2, 3 group are 1, 2, 3 bottoms. So dropping to the 4 hour, we would be looking for 1, 2, 3 bottoms. There it is, and we're on our way to the upside. Okay, so that's looking pretty good there for the GBP US dollar as well. On dropping to the 1 hour time frame, okay, same thing holds. We'll just be looking for 1, 2, 3 bottoms to continue the move to the upside. Okay, so that's what's setting up there for GBP USD. Let's take a look at New Zealand USD. Now, New Zealand and Aussie are basically similar. Let me put that one in, and we'll do that. It's NZD, not NSD. Sorry. Okay, New Zealand. All right, so let's go to the weekly on that one as well. And so New Zealand, looking again pretty strong there, but we're at a resistance level right across, and a little bit of a turn right there on that one. Okay, so that's on the weekly. Go to the daily, and again, big push, but now we're getting a little bit of a turn to the downside on New Zealand. So is New Zealand weaker than the US dollar? That totally, it could be possible at this point. Okay, so we're dropping to the 4 hour. And indeed, it is looking quite weak in this move to the downside here for New Zealand. So maybe some continued weakness, maybe back down to this level is totally possible before we get a turnaround. So not all the time are they going to be all going the same direction. All depends on the strength of that particular currency. In this case, New Zealand is showing a lot of weakness. Okay, so on the hourly, with this one, it would be 1, 2, 3 tops that would be the play to continue this move to the downside for New Zealand, even though the US dollar is weak. All right, so let's take a look at USD CAD. USD CAD to the, okay, we'll go to the weekly as well. And here we go. So on the weekly, USD CAD is doing basically the same move as the US dollar futures index, and it is on its way down. We're at a support area, and we could push through and to challenge this area here. Okay, so looking pretty good. And let's drop to the daily. On the daily, we are again headed to the downside. You can see that very clearly. We're in a channel to the downside, And for our members, we'd be looking for 1, 2, 3 tops primarily to continue this trend to the downside. So on the 4-hour time frame, that would be our 1, 2, 3 top, and we're on our way down. So again, on the lower time frame, we'll be looking for 1, 2, 3 tops to continue this to the downside. Okay, so we're dropping to the 1-hour, and you can see right now we're in a little bit of an uptrend in the short term. We could get a little bit of a move like that before we get a turnaround to the downside. So that would be the expectation. Okay, so looking pretty weak for the U.S. versus the CAD at this time. Let's take a look at USD Swiss. And we'll go to the weekly on that one as well. Okay, so you can see on the weekly we have broken through the support area and we're pushing to the downside. So very weak US dollar versus the Swiss on the daily time frame. Again, still pushing to the downside. Similar chart pattern to the US dollar futures index itself, and we're kind of in a channel moving up and down in it. Okay, so dropping to the 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour time frame. We're still in that channel, just like the US dollar, and we've been up, we've been down, we've been up, and we're on our way down again. Okay, so that's the takeaway for that. So continued weakness, USD versus the Swiss would be the outlook for this pair. Okay, USD Japanese yen on, we'll go to the weekly on this one as well. And what we have here also, we've been down, but now we're pushing back to the upside with a little bit of strength in the US dollar against Japanese yen. That's on the weekly time frame, and right across the board, you can clearly see that we're at a support area. Okay, it's an area, so we're right in that area. We bounced and we're back up into the thickets. Okay, dropping to the daily time frame. Okay, we have a 1, 2, 3 bottom here. We're pushing to the upside, back up into, looking to come back up into this area. We might even challenge this area. That's totally possible. Dropping to the 4-hour time frame. Strong moves still to the upside, a little bit of a pullback, and we would be expecting a turnaround perhaps in this area here and a continued move to the upside. That will be the expectation at this point. So we'll see if that plays out. Okay, so right now it's a little bit of weakness there, and we'll drop to the 1-hour, take a closer look, and you can see we're expecting a 1, 2, 3 bottom in here, just continue the move to the upside, looking like it's forming at that point. Okay, so that's a look at all the major pairs. A quick look at Bitcoin. See if we can see what Bitcoin's doing, and I'll take a quick look at gold, and then we'll call it. Okay, so on the weekly for Bitcoin, okay, very strong to the upside. We're also at a resistance area, and you can see we're at this resistance area right now. We've got a couple areas left to go to the upside, and looking like we are just in a little sideways funk right now. Down to the daily, we are just sort of sliding sideways on the 4-hour. We are just looking for 1, 2, 3 bottoms, and that's all we want, are 1, 2, 3 bottoms to take us out, and this is what's happening right now. So looking pretty good for strength in Bitcoin versus the US dollar going into this week. Okay, that's what I'm seeing there. And lastly, let's take a look at gold. Let's take a look at gold. Gold. And we've got the gold futures. I'd like to take a look at, let's see if we can, XAU. Let's do XAU USD for gold. And on the weekly time frame, very strong to the upside. I want to see what's over to the left. Okay, there's the key. Okay, so we're again at a very strong resistance. This was the highest it's ever been before, was in 2012, and now we've breached that area, pushed through, and it looks like they're turning it back around and coming back down. So on the weekly, we're again way up there, but now we're pulling back. On the daily, with this drop, and so let's see on the 4 hour how we're doing. And you can see clearly now that our structure, the expectation would be a move perhaps back up into this area and then a continuation to the downside, perhaps to break this low here. Okay, so short term, we're pushing to the upside right now, gold against the US dollar. So we could expect perhaps perhaps a further move to the upside. Maybe not too as far as I thought. Maybe even back up, perhaps back up into this area here, and then we'll be turning around, going back down. Okay, so not expecting this to be taken off to the upside at any moment in time. So be aware of that. Okay, so that's a look at all the major pairs, what's setting up for this week. Profitable trading to everyone. Be safe. Done now. Thank you.